with my other co-host, Alex Perez. Alex, how are we doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing really good. We're joined once again with another guest, but this one is the new women's head basketball coach, Jeff Hans. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm great. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing really good. Really happy to have you on here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Got some quick questions for you. Alex is going to start off with some, and then,
Let's fire away.
So for you, what has been the biggest difference in coaching going from the D2 level to the D1 level?
I get that question a lot. The biggest difference is all the help that we have, with the budget and the different resources we have over there at Thomas More. At that part of it, just having all the assistants, and having Lindsay, director of ops, and Nolan, graduate assistant. It's just having all those people be able to do things, that I would probably normally have to do over there at Thomas More. So that's been the biggest difference. When you get on the court and you start talking about practice and those type of things, it's basketball. It doesn't matter what level, So that part of it's been pretty simple to transition into over here at NKU.
So there are a few returning players, but there are a lot of new players. So for those for North Nation who may not know about the new players coming in, who would you recommend that they have their eye on coming up this season?
It all depends on what you want to watch. I think we have 6 new players. North fans know a little bit about Abby Walterman, transfer from IU Indy now.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get the right name out there. Junior post player for us. They also know JC Jones, another transfer from IU Indy, but she's a grad transfer, so this is her last year. Abby's got 2 years left. Hallie, her last name is tough. She's going to get mad at me because I need a pronunciation guide to say it. I always call her just Hallie or, and go from there. But, she's a transfer from Northeastern University and started out at Toledo for 2 years. Freshmen, we have 3 freshmen. Sid Martin is a chance to redshirt, work on some stuff, on the court. Then 2 that we're going to have probably play quite a bit is Anna Hamilton from Conner High School, local product here in the 9th region. So that's big for us. And then Kimora Morgan is freshman from Toronto, Canada, and doing well. And so out of those 6, they'll all have a chance to, 5 of them for sure because of Sid's situation. But they'll have a chance to play right away and be a contributor in the lineup. Maybe not starting per se, but be in that rotation.
So the schedule was released recently. Is there a game you have circled on that schedule, or maybe a place that you're really looking forward to traveling to during the season?
All of them. That's when you do this for as long as I've done it. You cherish games. You love playing. You love watching all the work that you put into in practice translate to the games and seeing how we can execute. Of course, the biggest one to circle is Middle Tennessee State because it's the first one. It's a home game, so to be able to get somebody that's played in the NCAA tournament on your court, it's a great thing to have happen. And so we're just fortunate that it's the first game. They're going to be really good, because they got a lot of pieces back from last year. They lost a couple of their starters, but a lot of people back, and they've got a transfer in there as well. So, that part of it is going to be exciting. And then you go down to UK and play in Memorial Coliseum that's just been renovated, and that challenge that takes place. Those things that's a good opening week. It's a tough opening week, but it all prepares us for the Horizon League, and what we can do there and in those 20 regular season games, and then also the conference tournament.
So obviously a new coach and new players. So are you going into the season setting any type of expectations for this team, and how will you measure what a successful season looks like for this team?
That's a great question. There's expectations and standards that we've talked about in practice in the summer, even of how we go about each day. But when we start talking about the season overall, the goals win Horizon League from day one. Said that from the time I got the job. That's the goal, and then get to the NCAA tournament and compete from there. If you don't set those goals a little bit lofty, you're never going to reach them. So we're working for that part of it and trying to achieve that. What what do I see as a successful season? I
Mhm.
think that was the second part of that question.
Yeah.
Um, just can we get better? Can we get better as young ladies, as players? Okay, can we get better as young ladies, as people, and improve on that part of it? And right now, our team chemistry, because we haven't played any games, and we're talking about roles a little bit and where we're at in practice, has been good. I've told a lot of people this too. They compete when we start playing competitive drills in practice. They get after each other. So to see that, they're unfortunately yelling at Brooke, one of the managers, about the scoreboard a little bit of hey, you put the wrong points on the wrong team. Hey, that's -4. Hey, that's +2 for us. So they want to win, and that's great to see so far. And now how does that transition when we go into that schedule and start playing those teams to making sure that we are in the best position to be successful, and they're fighting for each other right now. So that's what we got to keep doing.
All right. Well, Matt, I know you had some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. During your time at Thomas More, you had immense success, nearly 400 wins, 8 conference titles, 3 championships, 3 Coach of the Year awards. The accolades roll on. You were just talking about a team that they want to win. How do you manage both your success that you've had as well as a team with the clear ambition that they want to go on? How do you bring that together to put a good season out there?
It's been pretty simple so far because again we haven't played yet, but getting them to buy into it, they've been coachable, and we just talked about being the coachable part of it today in practice. It's funny we go that segment. I go that way with it because they've been coachable, but now we're getting to a point where we've talked about some things. So how coachable are you if we're still talking about the same things? So we've talked about those things a little bit today, and getting them. The biggest thing to do that is getting them to buy into that vision and do the things that we ask them to do, and understand and trust that at the end of the day we want them to be successful. Like I've said, is in everything that they do, and we're going to do that for them. Then they got to go out and make plays.
Yeah.
And that's, we can have the best scheme out there possible, best game plan, but if we don't go out there and finish and trust our habits and the things that we build in practice, then we're not going to be successful that night. So knowing those things, it will help us.
Yeah. And then, despite all these awards and wins and stuff that you've accumulated, you're still a cool customer. Mm-hmm. How do you manage to always just be very calm and collected and go out there and just be the humble coach that you are?
Because it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about our players, about this program. It was about Thomas More and those. I didn't make any baskets. I might have had a few turnovers, but I might have drew up a few things that resulted in some turnovers. So that's probably on me. But they made everything, and that's how it is here. And that's what I was just talking about, Matt. Is they have to go out there and perform. And so how can we do? What can we do to put them in those spots so that they are? And then if they see me rattled and flustered, then what's going to be their situation? They're going to be rattled. They're going to be flustered. They're going to be anxious. So I can't change. Yeah, I can show emotion. They can play with emotion, but then we got to be able to have that composure to finish games at the end. And so that's what we try to focus on as much as possible. We're trying to put them in those situations right now in practice. Now that we've got some stuff in and we can do some things, we're getting to where we can work on end of game situations and up 5, down 5.
Yeah.
How do we want to finish and try to put them in as many of those places that we can, so that when we get there in November, December, January, February, March, that they know how to handle it.
Okay. And then you brought in nearly a whole new coaching staff from what it was last year. Was that kind of your plan when you were first hired on?
For the most part, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the assistants already had new jobs, or were in the place of finding new jobs. Doug was the only one that didn't, but he was already looking for other jobs as well. So, but I think when you make this change, you need to have people that you can trust and that are loyal to you and the program, and that's what we have. Mm-hmm. And the only person that really stayed was Lindsay. And Coach Horn made that very clear on the men's side that if we didn't retain her, that he was going to find a job for her. So that was a pretty good recommendation letter in a lot of ways. And she's also one of the best players to ever play here. So, you have to keep her because she has a passion talk about the loyalty, talk about the passion. She has that for this program, and so that's a huge thing. And she relates very well to the players and a lot of things that they do because she's lived it. I mean, she's been here, played for 3 years, and so she's been in their shoes, And then Molly, Gabby, Brendan's totally different because of him playing here as well. Gabby being an assistant here. Molly was one that I probably knew the least of or about, but again, got a few phone calls right away saying, "Hey, she wants to be there. She wants back in because she was out of the game last year." And knowing her history and what she's done and the connection she has, it was a no-brainer. And she's from Ohio originally, so she's from this region, and she knows NKU. She's been in the Horizon League as an assistant. So, those are all positives. And then Nolan coming over from Thomas More with me he was our student assistant over there. And when he graduated, it was one of those easy transitions for us, not necessarily him because he was 1 year away from having his master's done. Now he's back to 2 years from having his master's done.
Yeah.
So, but he's been great because it's a common voice that I know he knows, and so he knows what to expect and with all the video stuff that we do.
Okay. And then my last question for you, coming off a season that was definitely not what was hoped last year, what is your message to the fans to, bring them in and let them know the kind of ball that they're going to be watching?
Just take a look at what we've done in the past. Take a look. Start with what has been done at Thomas More, and look at where we were there, and all the transition we had. I mean, you go from Division III to NAI, and in 4 years we're able to do that in 4 years, where we have 3 championship game appearances. We lose one, win one, lose one, and then last year making a move to Division II. And being 4th in a conference, in a pretty good conference. They got 3 teams in the tournament. And being there and winning the conference quarterfinal, losing to Ashland, who was number 1 team in the country or number 2 team in the country at that time, by 11 in the conference tournament. So that part of it, plus with how some of these players that were here played last year, down the stretch, they were playing better because they had a new coaching staff in a lot of ways because they were all 3 assistants last year. So they were learning a new system, and they figured it out. They were understanding of where to be and how to be by the end of the year, and they were playing better. And so that momentum, carrying that part of the momentum forward now, and where we can go to, and don't lose hope. Because again, the non-conference schedule is tough. You're asking about what dates to circle. I mean, you have 2 of the top teams in the MAC on the schedule. You got the OVC champion in Southern Indiana on the schedule. It's going to be tough. And so, but it all, for us, from a coaching standpoint, it all builds us towards the Horizon League play and trying to win that league championship in March, because those are the only 3 days that matter in a lot of ways. I know Coach Orange preached that, and that's what we've always preached at Thomas More. Regular season's great, to help us with our ranking to be an at-large bid if needed, but win and then don't put it in the committee's hands. And so that's the mindset that we've taken, and that's the mindset that we have to have here. And the fans will come back, I hope, because it's an exciting style of play. I mean, we're going to try to get up and down the floor and do those things, but they're going to play hard. And if they don't, then we'll find somebody else out there that can and will.
Yeah. And then I think Colton's got some questions for you too. So.
Yeah, I first of all, I want to say I'm very excited to see what you guys do this year. I looked into your resume at Thomas More, and the more I read it, the more excited I was to see, what they could do this season. And my question is, obviously transitioning from Division I or to Division I from Division II, you get asked that a lot. I'm just curious because NKU is a school that recently also made this transition. Was there any fellow coaches? I know Liz Hart was there when they made the transition. Did you pick their brains on what they did as they transitioned over to Division
I? We've talked a little bit, but I think every sport's different,
right?
And that's the hard part about it, because it's just even men's and women's basketball. It's apples and oranges. The whole recruiting part of it, how you schedule is totally different. The time that you schedule games is totally different. So every sport, there's some things you can do. I think you pick other coaches' brains about how they handle certain situations, off the floor and working on the team and the team chemistry. And yeah, we've done that, but also I've been through that transition a lot. Like I just said, when you go from Division III to NAI, that's non-scholarship to scholarship, and we've been able to manage that pretty well. You go from there to D2, totally different sets of rules. NAI is, we can practice whenever in a lot of ways, a lot of situations. We got some downtime in September and August, but we could practice every day in June and July if we wanted to. So and we didn't. Okay, we didn't do that. All right, but those things. So I think my years of experience and being here with Coach Winstel for those 3 years as an assistant, and then also the years at GA, has put us in a position with how to relate to people, relate to this campus and this university, on ways to put our players in the best position to be successful.
And then Colt, did you have any other questions or anything like that?
No, I'm just super excited to see what you guys do out there.
Well, I'm super excited that you're going to be there at games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. All right. We gotta get some students in the stands. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
students and fans.
And that's all we got for you today. Thank you very much for coming on and putting
Anytime.
time aside.
Anytime, you guys. I appreciate the support and getting us out there. And if there's anything you guys ever need, let us know.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.